I'm so happy to see you all. Okay, so we're going to start with a rest assessment and then do a hand treatment. You know, my favorite thing in the world to do is to do that. Let me spotlight. There we go. All right, everybody. So go ahead and lie down on your backs, arms and legs extended. Let's tune on in. So, like I said, we are doing a rather advanced-ish, pretty advanced, like nice level 5-ish with a couple other bits in there, moves. So let's really tune in to what is unstable today. Yeah. I mean, we always like to talk about stuck stress and all of that, but I really want you to think about just tuning into those areas, not that have pain. I mean, pain's just kind of the one thing we want to try to get out of our brain more than the imbalances and just sense what we feel versus what might be ideal. And I got all sorts of stuff going on this morning as I lie down here. So take a couple of breaths in and just settle into this position. So you're not attempting to put yourself in any position, and let's just nose the wave-like formation of our bodies. Remembering we like waves, we want waves, right? So let's tune in and hope we've got some good spaces and masses going on, starting with the upper body. So let's tune into the shoulder girdle. So ideally, we want to have our shoulder girdle spread out, the shoulder blades spread out, so we have more rib wall on the floor, evenly weighted from left to right, those shoulders and the arms with a nice little neck curve. Yeah. So I also want you to tune in and notice if you get a sense that you're internally rotated today, which would kind of prop you more up on your pinkies than on the back of the knuckles. So notice that. Notice if you get a sense that the shoulders themselves are just kind of off the mat, like completely off the mat. If you're not sure where you are, you can go ahead and punch the ceiling and feel the shoulder blades hitting the mat and then drop them back down and just sense what you feel there. So for me, I feel like my shoulder blades are like practically touching the spine. That's how I feel. So I feel like I've got too much shoulder blades, top of the shoulder blades up there, and I'm a little too in toward the spine. I feel a little restricted in there. Back of the hands are there, and that's all fine. I'm going to turn my head from left to right, noticing if you have any snapping, cracking, popping, audible sounds, physical sensations. If you find that you have to turn your head or lift an opposite shoulder just to turn your head, like where are you turning your head from? So make a mental note of what you sense there, and let's move on down to the diaphragm. Remembering that when we have stress and dysfunction in the diaphragm, it's going to give us a giant arch in our back as opposed to a small lumbar curve. So for me, I feel like I have a smaller curve than I normally would. But what's interesting is that my pelvis is kind of jacked up a little bit in a strange way. I'm more lordotic than I usually am. So notice if you feel like you have too much of a lumbar curve, or you feel like that lumbar curve is going into your mid back. Not what we want. And then let's talk about the pelvis. So if you got some instability going on in your pelvis, you might sense a whole pile of things. Number one, you might feel like instead of being on your butt cheeks evenly, you're on a tailbone, or I'm kind of half in, half off. I actually feel like I'm resting on my left SI joint, which is not awesome. And then start to scan down your legs, noticing the backs of your thighs. And we ideally want those down on the ground. Now, I feel like I have more of my left than my right, but I do have a sense of some of those. Cannot sense my gluteal fold at all. That's where the pelvis meets the leg. And then if you notice how your legs are resting on the floor, we want to be ideally on the outer 1/3 portion of of the calves and the heels. So notice if you feel like you're flopped out, pointed up combination, pointed away, whatever that combo is for you. I'm flopped open on the left. So just remember your four common imbalances. Number one, you're on shoulder blades rather than below them. Number two, you got a big wailing arch. Number three, you're on bone instead of butt cheek. And number four, the backs of the thighs, either one or both, are off the floor. So then divide that or draw that imaginary line down your center and just tune into the left and right. I am totally not even from left to right. I do feel like my left leg is longer than the other. So, along with structurally being off and having instability, I also neurologically am off as well, which of course those two things go hand in hand. They're never separate. So then also take a nice deep breath into your body. It's the only time I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath is in the beginning and end of class, just to assess and see how our diaphragm is moving relative to our rib cage and all the other structures. So just notice if you feel stuck on your inhale, stuck on your exhale. And then when you're ready, go ahead, bend your knees, roll into your side, push yourself up to sitting. I haven't done a long rest assess like that in a while, but I don't know. I felt called to do it. All right, so let's just grab our ball. We're going to do just a mini softball hand treatment to start ourselves off because we're going to be doing some nice mid-back work today. So I like to just see how my grip is doing, squeezing it from left to right. Usually my left feels stronger than my right, but I definitely feel weaker on my left today. So notice that for you. I'm going to add the wrist assessment because I think this is really a powerful one, especially if you have any kind of shoulder pain. As you lift your arms up and down, you might notice that one shoulder feels a little crankier than the other. My right one definitely does. And if I settle into it and just kind of take a breath in, notice if your back skin doesn't feel like it fits you. And then, of course, go into your wrist assessment, noticing if you have any pain going on in the wrist, what your range of motion is like, and then can you drop those hands open and notice whether or not you're in a V, a W, bubbled, or a T. I'm not quite at the T today, so shake that off and let it go. Remember what that feels like. Okay, so you pick what you want to do. If you want to interlace your fingers for this one, I'm going to put my fingers or my hands down onto the mat, and I'm going to go in for my glide. I'm on my right hand. It doesn't matter to me which side you start with, whatever feels good to you. So just taking some time to prep. And then switching hands if you're doing one hand at a time. I like doing the one hand at a time when I'm on the floor with my treatment hand on top, just to give myself a little bit more pressure. And then I'm going to go into my glide right here, or I'm sorry, the shear right here on the left. And I'm just doing some nice circles, but also kind of doing that kneading of the dough thing. And I'm leaning into it. I'm not just using my shoulders with this one. I like to lean into it, use the whole body so I don't compensate too much or cause more stress on my shoulder joint. And then I'm going to pause and even do that indirect shear where I open and close the thumb. And I'm going to wait. Taking a breath and switching sides. Same thing. We do the circles. And then we do the kneading of the dough. I don't even know what accent that is. It's Amanda making things up. That's what that is. And I'm going to open and close my thumb. And then I'm going to wait. Okay, so I'm going to rinse up the arm. I always love to do this, even though it's technically not part of the mini softball hand treatment. But I really like to do that to help get that little bit of fluid all the way through the arm lines into the neck. And actually, just for fun, as a lot of you know, I like to do a rest assess again or a rest reassess just to see what doing this mini softball hand treatment does all the way down, because it's quite miraculous. And I like to teach this to my massage students to really get them to understand that concept of continuity, because sometimes they think parts are just parts and that they're not part of the whole. So important to sense that. Let's do a couple more here. And then we're going to do our finger rinse. So we'll come on up. And again, I don't care which side you do. And remember, you don't have to crush it. And it's just going from the knuckles out, not the whole hand. And I like to go from thumb to pinky and then pinky back to thumb. And I'm going to switch hands. If you need to spend a little extra time on those thumbs, go ahead and do it. As we know, thumbs are one of the primary culprits to neck pain. Opposable thumbs seemed like a great idea until we got really smart and started inventing things where we used them too much. And now we have chronic neck pain. Thank you, iPhone. Yeah, okay. And then let's do that friction. Let it go, feel the buzz because it just feels really cool. Let's reassess that wrist assessment. And already I feel like my right shoulder feels way better than it did before. Even as I raise and lower, it's still a little stiff, but that's okay. And if I open and close my wrist, it just feels a little less yucky. I'm a little less restricted. That's a nice thing. And if I go ahead and squeeze my ball, my right hand and left hand are both online now. It feels like the left one's a little bit stronger. So kind of a fun thing, right? Go ahead and throw that off to the side. Get back in your rest assess just for a hot second. I don't want to spend too much time here. Just tune in and see what might have changed. See, I love this because now I feel like I've gotten less pressure on my left side. My lumbar curve is definitely more pronounced, but now I feel like my pelvis is tucked under a little bit. It's weird. And now my shoulder blades have come apart a little bit. If you turn your head from left to right, just notice if you had any stress in your neck, if that seemed to help it. Just kind of a cool thing to check. Okay. So let's move on. We're going to start with we already started, didn't we? We're going to do a rebalance with arm and hammers. So go ahead and grab your band and you want to put it across the top part of your mat. Your mat. I don't know why I said it like that. Your mat. And then you're going to take your roller and put it on top of your logo. That's how I like to measure it out. So I've got a little bit of OCD or something. And then you're going to put your head on the lower T end of it. So let's come on down and let's start with our gentle rocking as we always do, of course, making sure you're on that roller all the way, rocking from left to right. Just making sure that you are one with the roller here. You and the roller roll as one. You are a roller. Pretend to be a roller as you go back and forth. Noticing that nice subtle engagement of your abdomen as you rock from one side to the other as it kind of catches to help keep you stable. Yeah. So remember, we love to do this for about 30 to 60 seconds to quiet the stress reflex and just get our nervous system to come a little bit more back on balance. Come on back to a center point. We're going to place our hands on the front of the pelvis and do our tucking and tilting. Remembering that when we tuck the pelvis, the pubic bone is arcing toward the ceiling. Low back curve will present itself to the roller. And then we want to see if we can keep our ribs stable as we untuck the pelvis, going a little bit further to land the tailbone on top of the roller, which will give a nice little lift to that lumbar curve with the ribs staying stable. So let's go back into the tuck. Same thing, but really make sure you're not squeezing the butt cheeks or pushing into the feet to achieve this. And then you want to keep those ribs stable as you untuck and get that nice little lumbar curve, landing the tailbone back on top of the roller. Go back and forth a couple times at your pace. Noticing it today, noticing if it feels smooth or a little staccato. Mine actually feels surprisingly smooth. I have been a naughty melter, meaning I haven't really gotten on my roller much in the last couple of weeks. Find your tuck, find your tilt, and then just relax into a neutral. And let's go ahead and just find our core, taking a full breath into all sides and using a sound, a sh or ha, whatever works for you. Shh. One more sound. Just noticing what feels good in your body. What really helps you find your core this morning is you allow those ribs get heavy and the pelvis to get wide. And then one more without the sound. Just really allowing your own breath to find your core. So before we do the arm and hammer, let's bring our arms up into a shoulder blade reach to do another little assessment here and also help prepare ourselves and set ourselves up for success with this move. Remembering that our arms, our fingertips want to be at an angle over the knees, if you will. So you're going to angle those arms downward. And as you glide the shoulder blades, just notice if one feels like it's a little slow, right? Not quite keeping up with the other one. My right one is the slow one today. I can feel that. And then just allow the shoulder girdle to get heavy over either side of the roller. And let's just try some arm circles. If you bring the arms over to your head and then arc them around, remembering to keep them above the torso. So if you bring the arms down, you think that the forearms get to just above the forehead, keep it at that level as you arc it around toward the hips. Let's try that one more time. And if you're like me, you've got a weird little pop going on in your right shoulder. So boy, am I glad I'm here today. So let's see if we can open it up into double arm reach while we're here. So I'm at that shoulder blade reach level, and then like I'm pulling taffy apart with my hands and having my elbows slightly bent, like I'm doing a, I don't know, like a deck fly, like a pec fly, right? Kind of a thing. So or a ballerina pose, whatever works for you. But from here, you feel your shoulder girdle around the roller. Take a breath in, and on the exhalation, I want you to energize out from there. So it's not so much that you're straightening out the elbows, although some of you, once you've reached around, now I want you to think about opening the elbows up just a tiny bit more, just a tiny bit more. You might feel that line of pull really kicks in there. Take a breath in. On the exhalation, let's floss the nerves. You want to think about flexing and extending those wrists in opposition, or making a fist and doing the same, and just noticing that line of pull and how it affects you. And then open those hands wide again. And then go ahead and let that go. We're going to grab the band now and throw it around our shoulders. Yep. And we're going to grab the bottoms. And I want you to start to ball them up, but giving a little tug as you get to, as you go up, to make sure that they're even. So it's like a loose little handle that you're making. You're above the nipple, below the shoulder, below the collarbone, whatever, but don't go so high. That's too much for you. And once you're here, I'm going to have you get your arms into a tabletop position. So some of you like to think having your thumbs on your temples. I like to kind of reach around and get into a tabletop position where my forearms are parallel to the ceiling. And kind of experiment here a little bit. If you bring your arms directly over your shoulders, that might feel like it's too much, or you think they're over your shoulders, they're actually too high. So I want you to bring them down just a tiny bit. And then do a shoulder blade reach here, flaring the shoulder blades away and then letting the pull of the band pull them back along the roller, which is where they're going to remain nice and heavy. Make sure you're in your neutral pelvis. I want you to go ahead from here and go into external rotation with the shoulders so that the hands are wider than the elbows. The wrists are nice and strong and in alignment. There's no bending of the wrist here. We're going to take a breath on in, and on the exhalation, keeping the shoulder blades heavy, you're going to go halfway up toward the ceiling and you're going to wait, tremble, tremble, and then allow the arms to go back to that parallel, and you're going to wait, keeping it in external rotation. Let's go up number 2. Halfway toward the ceiling, keeping it in external rotation as you go back to parallel, tabletop, keeping the shoulder blades where they are. Breath in, exhale, halfway up and hold. And then slowly go back on down. Now you should be able to wiggle the rest of your fingers if you just have that nice loose handle for yourself. Last time, we're going to go halfway up toward the ceiling. We're going to wait, making sure those wrists are strong. And then we go back to the tabletop. Here we go all the way up. We're going to take those fists all the way up to the ceiling and think external rotation as you go down. Keep those shoulder blades along the roller. 3 more, all the way up to the ceiling. Pause, and then slowly external rotation back to tabletop. 2 more, breath on in, ribs heavy, up to the ceiling. Keep the wrists strong as you go external rotation back to tabletop. Last one, up to the ceiling, and then back to tabletop. Now we go for the pattern, keeping the shoulder blades heavy. We go up and back for 1, up and back for 2, up and back for 3, up and back for 4. Go halfway and let's pulse it out for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Let it go. Reassess that shoulder blade reach. See if that actually helped catch the other one up. It helped me a little bit. Let's do a little more gentle rocking here. And then I want you to extend a leg out in front of you onto the floor, ooze on off the roller. And let's just do a quick little reassessment here. See if that helped with anything in the shoulder girdle. Oof, wow, I have to say my butt cheeks propped up. My left leg is coming back online. I definitely feel more relaxed in my shoulders. And if I turn my head from left to right, I oddly got a lot of that stress out of my neck. I know sometimes for some of you doing Arm and Hammer can put some stress in your neck. So notice if that was your story. But let's carry on. Take in some water. We're going to do a little upper body compression here. Or a lot of upper body compression, let's say. Okay, let's just start with, because we can, we'll do a little rib length here. So getting the roller in the right position with the bottom edges of the shoulder blades just on the foot side of the roller. And you're going to go ahead and tuck that pelvis, put it back down. I want you to curl forward in your ribs. So this is the starting position. And you really want to think the bottoms of the ribs are nice and heavy here. Yeah. You're going to take a breath on in. On that exhalation, I want you to think you're reaching the crown of the head away from you to help get just the tops of the ribs on top of the roller. Breath on in, exhale, curl forward. Do that one more time. Just notice the tension as you do this, exhaling and extending. Pausing in extension, and then we're going to side bend over to the right and just notice that left tension going on. Back to center, breath on in, exhale as you side bend over to the left. My right side is stiff. Come on back. One more time each side, just noticing where you side bend more to. And then back to center. Let's go ahead, bring those elbows on in, lift the pelvis up, and we're going to start with our upper body glide right here. So notice if you have any tenderness, any certain lumps and bumps going on in the upper back here. Remember, you want to keep the bottom ribs heavy as you do this move. And thinking about, if you notice, I have sort of I feel like I'm pushing my back into the front part of that roller there. So find a spot where you want to shear, get smaller and smaller. We're going to tuck that pelvis, put it down, curl forward, and start our side bends. And we're going to wait. Let's hit another spot, lifting the pelvis on up, pushing through your feet to get, I'm now like bottom edges of the shoulder blades here. Just doing some nice little glidey here. Try not to yank on your head. So easy to do. Just really trying to be mindful not to do that. Getting smaller and smaller. Let's go ahead, tuck that pelvis, put it down, curling forward in the ribs without yanking the neck, and doing our side bends. And waiting. Let's hit that inner shoulder blade on the right side. Just reaching with the left elbow up toward the ceiling. I'm traveling a little too much. And getting on that spot. I like to swirl around here a bit, kind of heading over to the outer shoulder blade. Don't tell Sue, this is how I do it sometimes. Coming on back. Ugh. Actually, I think that's how we used to do it in the olden days. Get smaller and smaller, whatever that means to you, on a spot that's not a barrier, placing that right butt cheek down. And you can do one or all three of the shears. I'm going to open and close my elbow here, put the fingertips on, and do my shortened lever. And then I'm just going to set my arm free and let it do what it wishes to do. And then put that arm back behind the head and wait. And let's come on back to center. We'll do it on the other side. So reach the right elbow up toward the ceiling to get onto that left inner shoulder blade. Just cruising around. It's less tender for me here. Boy, my right side, I don't know what I did. You would think I went out painting houses yesterday. I'm going to swirl about here, even getting a little bit on that outer shoulder blade. And then coming on back to the inner, swirling around a bit more, finding a spot to shear, and then placing that left butt cheek down as I open and close the elbow. Fingertips on the shoulder. And then setting everything free. Hand back behind the head and wait. Okay, let's come on back to center. Let's rinse it a couple of times. Bringing the butt cheeks toward the heel, upper back, roller at the upper back, breath on in. On the exhalation, make sure you're curled. The pelvis is low as you push through your feet and just steamroll down your spine. No need to curl further. If you're already curled in the beginning, let's do that 2 more times. Butt cheeks towards the heels. Breath on in, nice curled ribs as you push through your feet and steamroll down your spine. Oh, so good. Last one. Use your sound if you like. Shh. Awesome. And then go ahead and reassess that rib length. Let's just see how you did. nice and open. If that last one, if that last bit of hydration managed to do it for you to open you up a bit more. So remember what that feels like, because we're going to flip on over on our belly. We're going to do sternal release. So I have to move my microphone. Let me see. Yes, I will. Hang on a sec, folks. Hopefully this is okay. All right. So we're going to come on down. Y'all are advanced melters, so that's good. I can just talk you through this one. So keep yourself supported for now. And you want to make sure your chin is on top of the edge of the roller here so that your bottom lip hangs over the edge. And once you're there, kind of ease into it and go into some gentle rocking here, just so your nervous system understands what is going on. Okay, so just like we're sucking milkshake through a straw, and on the exhale, you retract your head. And allow the chin to deflate back down. 2 more. Here we go. Sip milkshake through a straw. Retract head. Keeping your shoulders relaxed and away from your ears. Last one. And do some gentle rocks. And then slide on off. If you need to hang out on your side for a second, go ahead and do that. And then let's rinse it out one more time. And then reassess that rib length and see how you are there. Breath on in. Yep, sorry, putting my microphone back. And then last one. Good. Now reassess that rib length and see if you got even more stuff going on here. Oh yeah. So you might find that as you do this, it just feels like that upper back has no problem. Like you just gained so much range of motion of extension in the ribs and the upper back. And as you side bend over to the right and left, you might find that right side really got set for you, which is what we love. Okay, so we did all of that to get us prepped for our next move, which is going to be a prone Superman. So if you want to tune into your rest assess before we do that, probably not a bad idea. I had us do all that stuff. We should just tune in real quick and just see where that is. So it's amazing that now my right side is flopping over. My left one was before. It's really quite uncanny as you discover how your tissues just morph and adapt in the most confusing ways. So if I turn my head from left to right, that really did a great job for me. So somehow sternal release really did something for my lower extremities, which I find kind of interesting. So, okay. So taking some water, we're going to move on to our prone Superman and see how we do. So I love this one. This one's great for mid-back strength, something we don't do often enough. So you want to have your roller out in front of you. You're going to lay right on your belly. Hopefully you can keep the backs of the dorsal part of your feet on the floor. And you want to place your arms wide. So outward and wide. So if you see how my hands are almost at the very ends of my rollers in a nice big wide, I'm going to put my forehead down. And what I want you to think here for now is reaching the arms forward and then gliding the shoulder blades back down your body. So it's like a shoulder blade reach, but different, right? So it's kind of like you're gliding the pinky side of your forearms. So let's do that one more time. We're going to reach forward. We're going to pull it back as we exhale. And I want you to push those arms into the roller, tuck your pelvis, and you're going to start to extend on up, bringing your sternum toward, like sort of like a headlight toward your roller, but you're going to keep your gaze down to the mat to keep that neck nice and neutral. And then you're going to come on back down. We're going to do that 3 more times. So breath on in. Make sure you retract those shoulder blades. Come on up into extension and pausing, making sure that pelvis is tucked, pubic bone into the floor. Come on back down. 2 more. So almost think about reaching, retracting, breath on in, exhale as you extend on up. Keep that pelvis in a tuck, but you're not jamming it, but you're just thinking pubic bone in the mat and back down. Last one. Coming on back, retracting and extending. Think about the crown of the head reaching toward over the roller, if you will. Okay, so now we're going to add some extremities here. So we're going to do the same thing. Think about retracting back, breath on in, exhale, rise on up, and you're going to reach the right arm on up. Notice what happens to that serape and come on down. We're going to do the same thing other side. Exhale as you retract down, lift on up, and lift that left arm up, pausing and coming on down. Notice what happens on the opposite side of the body. One more time each side. You're going to reach forward. Exhale as you retract. Come on up. Reach that right arm up and back down. Last time. Reaching, retracting, lifting, and now lift that left arm up. Pausing and coming down. Now we're going to add the arm or the leg. Here we go. So you're going to take breath in. Exhale as you retract, lift on up, right arm goes up, left leg goes up, and back down. Next side. Inhale, exhale, retracting, lifting, lift that left arm, lift the right leg, and back down. One more time each side. Inhale, exhale, retract, extend, lift the right, lift the left leg, and put both down. One more time each side, or last side. Exhale, lifting on up. Keep that pelvis in a tuck as you lift the left arm and the right leg and down. Now let's just make the pattern more smooth. We reach, we retract, we lift the right arm and left leg together and down. Reaching forward, pulling back, extending, lifting, and down. One more time each side. Breath in and back. Tuck that pelvis, lift, and down. Last time. Reaching, retracting, exhaling, extending, lifting, left and right, and done. Beautiful. Okay, relax that back and come on up. Oh, that was fun, right? That's a tough one. Okay, so we're going to go straight from that into an assisted plank, because this is a brutal class. All right, so I've got my bladder on the roller. Hopefully y'all went pee. You want to place your forearms out in front of you, underneath the shoulders, and place your arms into an external rotation here so that your hands are like in a, or your forearms are in a V. Your feet are flexed, toes on the floor. Let's go ahead and straighten those knees out. And you want to think you've got a little bit of a tuck going on here, but I want you also to think you're going to push those forearms into the floor and really get your back flared. So it's a kind of the opposite of what we just did with extension. Yeah, it's totally the opposite actually. All right, so take a breath on in. On that exhalation, you're going to hover the pelvis. I want you to think the elbows and the heels are driving away, but the elbows coming toward the roller. Can you push on up a little bit more? And then bring it down and relax. We're going to do that 3 more times. Breath on in. Bring the pelvis up. Think about bringing the elbows toward the rollers. The heels reach away. Bring it up a little more and down. 2 more. Breath on in. Pelvis up. Think elbows in. Heels reach away. And back down. Last one for the reintegration. Breath on in. Exhale. Think a slightly tucked pelvis as then you lift it up. You want to think about drawing everything in. Can you bring it up a little higher? Brilliant. And back down. Now we're going to go for the pattern. Here we go. Breath on in. We're going to bring it on up. And here we go. We're going to tap it and lift it for 1, tap it and lift it for 2, tap it and lift it for 3, tap it and lift it for 4, hold it and let it go. Brilliant. All right, come on back down and rest, reassess. Let's see what that it did for us. Oh, that was a lot. That was a big workout. Like my shoulders feel sore. But let's talk about where we started. So your shoulder girdle, before you felt like you were uneven. Notice if it feels like it's a little more even from left to right. Mine does, but now I feel internally rotated on my left side. So go figure with that. If I have you turn your head from left to right, that actually seemed to put a little bit of gunk in my neck. It's a good thing we still have so much more to do. So now I want you to go down and notice how your diaphragm is. I feel like I definitely have a nice lower lumbar curve and I'm more on my butt cheeks now. So that's good. Backs of thighs, so feel even. And actually now I feel evenly rest on the outer third one portion of both my calves and my heels. Go figure. Okay. We're going to get onto our side. We're going to do kind of an interesting little combination of lower body compression and strength moves here, and upper body as well. So we're going to start with inner thigh glide and shear. So we're going to move the top of that roller away from us. I'm on my left side. It doesn't matter to me which side you start with. It really doesn't. And just, get your top leg on there as we go into our glide. So remember, I always have my big toe on the floor just to guide the motion as I allow my torso to help move the roller up and down my leg. You could just let that leg or let that foot just graze on the floor. I like to give it a little bit more control. I also feel like I have a flippy bit on the inside. So I like taking my time around that flippy bit. But I want you to find a spot where you want to shear. Remember, not just right on top of a barrier, but somewhere next to it. Getting smaller and smaller. And I like to flex my foot and then bend and straighten the knee because I like to protect my knee joint. So just a simple act of flexing the ankle is going to help keep the tibia tractioned in the femur better. So you can raise and lower the foot, or you could do a little cross friction. That's an option as well. And then extend on out and wait. Let's move it up a little bit more and do it again. So we're just getting a little hydration here on that inner thigh. Oh man. So full confession, I've been a lazy bum the last couple of weeks. I mean, granted, I've been busy, but I've been allowing myself to sleep in much later than I usually do. So I haven't got my morning workouts in, which is not great. So I'm feeling stiff and sticky because of that, not because I've been working out. So find a spot to shear and then go ahead and do it. I actually find that when I work out on a regular basis, my melt is more seamless. Obviously I do all of it, but like it doesn't feel as lumpy, bumpy, and sticky and yucky. So just goes to show getting away from that stuff is not always awesome. And wait, let's flip on over the other side. Noticing how you are on this side. Notice if this side feels more tender. I'm not really sure. I think it's both a little ghastly for me. It's all right. Humble out. So I don't know if any of you have done Carrie's little morning workouts. It was actually something she and I hosted, like, I don't know, March or something. But if you want to participate in that, that's getting started again tomorrow morning. Carrie has the link. I do not, because I told her I couldn't be in charge of that anymore. So there you are. It's just like a 10-minute workout with Heather Robertson, but we start off with a little bit of melt first. Little melt, little workout, and then melt after. It's a nice way to start your day if you've got like an hour to spare. And then let it go. But it's super early morning Eastern, which would be like 4 a.m. for Candy. So we're not going to have Candy do that. So I'm just hitting my second spot on my inner thigh. Just noticing how it all feels. Getting some good hydration here. We're going to hit a little bit more of that in a minute, but we're going to get smaller and smaller here. And we're going to wait, and we're going to bend and straighten that knee. Raise and lower that foot. Just do that cross friction. And wait. Okay, so we're going to go back over to the other side, but what I need you to do is grab your band. So we're going to incorporate some side lying backhands while we are here. So we're also going to do inner thigh lift. Really good to do for an unstable pelvis, especially those of you with a slippery SI joint. You know who you are. All right, so I'm going to start on my left side, moving the roller over to my head for a pillow. So you really want to make sure when you sit on this, you give it a little tug so you know it's not going to go flying out from you. And you want to keep that band out nice and long. So I'm going to thread the needle of my left arm as I come down. So I'm on the outer part of my shoulder blade. I'm going to kick my booty back just because it feels better. Get comfortable. Again, make sure that that band is there. And lift your arm on up. So just for fun, if you had your arm, your hand directly above your shoulder, so shoulder, elbow, hand, and you tried to do a shoulder blade reach here, it would just be kind of weird and awkward, right? But then I also want you to notice how your shoulder might be up toward your ear. So if you take your opposite hand, my left hand on my right shoulder, and I think about now angling that arm down, which is going to kind of get elbow, shoulder, ear. That's what I'm talking about. So it gets the shoulder away from the ear. And then from here, you've got a little bit more room for that shoulder blade to go, right? So you just want to relax it there, but just kind of pointing that out. And then from here, just like a tree falling in the forest, your arm's going to go down. You're not reaching your torso. Wherever those fingers land, that's where you're going to grab the band. So we're going to gather it up in our hand. A nice little handle for yourself. And you just want to pull it out. Yep, you want to pull that thing out, pull that band out, make sure you feel that nice tension, making sure you're not rotating outward. You want to make sure that the forearm is parallel to the ceiling as well as the back of the hand and the side of the arm here. You got a ever so slight, just don't want to lock out that elbow. So you've got some nice tension here. You got a little bit of air underneath the armpit. You're keeping the shoulder away from the ear. I want you to bend that elbow and graze that hand over your hip and then punch it forward. We're going to do that a few more times. Just getting ourselves set up for success, making sure that that wrist stays nice and strong and in alignment with the forearm. We're not breaking it or twisting it. There will be no pronation or supination in this move. Let's do that one more time. Grazing back and bringing it forward. So take a breath on in, and on the exhalation, I want you to think you're subtly reaching those knuckles forward as you then pull that band up a little bit higher, thinking about the pinky leading the motion without actually twisting the arm, pausing at the top, and then letting the band pull you back down to our starting position. We're going to do that 3 more times. Breath on in. Exhale as you think subtle reach forward, pulling up as the idea of the pinky leading the motion, pausing at the top, and then letting the band pull you back down to neutral. 2 more. Breath on in. Exhale, subtle reach forward as you pull that on up. Think pinky, 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 but you're not twisting, right? And then let the band pull you back on down. Last one for reintegration. Inhale, exhale, punching forward, pulling on up, and pausing at the top, letting the band pull you back down. Now we're going to go for the pattern. Here we go. You're going to come up and back for 1. You're going to come up and back for 2, up and back for 3. Last one, up and back for 4. Hold it, let go of the band. Now you're going to go up even a little bit farther, and then you're going to come all the way down. Tap the floor. 2. We go 3. Last one, we go 4. And let it go. All right. Take your top foot. I want you to put it on the floor behind you, and I want you to scoot so that now you're more on the butt cheek of your left. And once you're there, I want you to straighten that out. So watch out for the band, just kind of bring it in towards you a little bit. You're going to put the roller out in front of you. Now you can relax your head in your hand if you want something else to, like if you have a pillow and you want to put your hand on or head on something else, you can. But now we're going to take that right arch of that foot and put it on top of the roller. And you'll notice like there's nowhere to put your knee on this. So a couple of things to set ourselves up. First, you're going to pull that roller towards you so that the knee can rest. You're going to have a lot of hyperflexion in the hips. So we're going to move that roller down a bit and even think about moving your leg down a little to open up that hip. So ideally you've got, if you feel down on your left hip bone, it should be off the mat. ASIS is off the mat. You want to place your hand on your waist. We're going to get ourselves into a tilt. We're going to do a little bit of a stack for a nice reach. And then you want to think you're trying to open up the hip joint of the top leg. And then let's go ahead and really take a focused breath in here. You really want to think hand on the waist. On the exhalation, I want you to flex that bottom foot and I want you to start to lift it on up. And you're going to feel some activity in the waist here. So now I want you to think about bringing that bottom leg forward toward the roller so that the shin almost hits the bottom, or maybe it does hit the bottom of that roller, and put it back down on the floor. If you need to make a readjustment with your pelvis to bring it a little bit more forward, do what you got to do. But we're going to do this again. Remember, think your tilt, your stack. Stack is important here. And then opening up that hip, we're going to take a breath on in. My bottom leg is flexed. That's how I like to do this one. Exhale. I really think you're reaching the top hip and reaching the bottom leg as you bring it on up. If you have a little bit of activity there, we're going to clean it up now. So you have that foot. You can see mine is poking above the other one. So again, don't lose your tilt. You want to think about reaching that top hip. And you also want to think about that top leg being light on top of the roller. Here we go. Breath on in. On the exhalation, I want you to find your core. You want to think you're going to reach and you're going to lift, but really keep thinking that top hip is staying stacked and then back to parallel. We're going to do this 3 more times. Breath on in. Exhale as you reach and you lift and you pause at the top and you bring it on back to parallel. Breath on in. Exhale, reach. Think the heel is reaching toward the wall and you're bringing it on up and you're pausing and back to parallel. Last one, breath on in. Exhale, you're going to reach it and you're going to lift it and you're going to hold it. And now we're going to, and back to parallel. Now we're going to go for the pattern. You're going to bring it on up and you're going to go all the way down. You're going to tap the floor, reach and lift on up and back down, reach and lift on up. And back down. Last one, reach and lift on up. Bring it up a little bit higher and let's see if we can pulse it for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and let it go. Let's switch on over the other side. Okay, so side lying arm, backhand for the first side. First thing we're going to do on this side. So I'm going to lay my right hip down. I'm going to thread the needle of my right arm. So I'm on the shoulder blade. I'm going to kick my booty back. I have to perfect my thing, right? If it's not perfect, I won't want to do it. Arm on up. Remember, we want to make sure we don't have it directly above our shoulder, but it's okay to do it right to do, or do it wrong to do it right. And then we're going to send that arm down into an angle. If you need your honesty hand on the other side, just to make sure that shoulder stays put. And then you're going to do that timber, because this is also going to make you honest to make sure you just bend that arm down to get it. I mean, bend at the adduct, horizontal abduction, adduction rather. All right, so wherever you get that, you're going to hold on to it. You're going to pull it on up. You're going to find that angle again, right? You really want that nice angle. And then we're going to start by just grazing our hands over our hip. We're going to do that a couple times. I actually could pull in a little bit more. Yep, I think I cheated. Let's do that one more time, where the arm or the hand grazes over the hip and then punches forward. Having trouble finding my words today. Remember, we want a strong wrist. We want the forearm to be parallel with the ceiling. You're going to take a breath on in, and on the exhalation, think of that subtle reach forward as you then pull on up. Think that pinky is leading the motion without actually doing it, pausing, and letting the band pull you on back to neutral. We got 3 more for reintegration. Breath on in. Exhale as you subtly reach those knuckles forward and pull that on up. You're going to pause at the top. Shaky, shake, shake. And then let the band pull you on down. We're working rear delt here. So notice how that is for you. Breath on in, exhale as you reach forward and you're pulling it on up. If you're feeling this in your neck, you're not in the right pathway. You should drop the band and just watch us do it, or do it without the band. Pulling on down. Last one for reintegration. Breath on in, exhale as you reach forward and you pull on up and pause and let the band pull you on down. Now we're going to go for the pattern. Here we go. We're going up and back for 1, up and back for 2, up and back for 3, up and back for 4. Hold it, let go of the band, full pattern all the way on up and all the way down. So we get the adduction and the abduction. Last one as you come down and up, and then let it go. You can get that band away from you if that's in your way, but I want you to take that top leg so the left foot is on the floor, and I use it to help me bring my booty underneath me. So again, your ASIS is now off the mat, right? So when we go do this move, that's kind of ideal. You want that there so that you're able to really get into the upper part of the adductors. So we're going to bring that roller toward in front of us. Inner arch of the left foot goes on top. And again, we're going to bring the roller to us, but then think about pushing it down, open up that hip. And if it helps you to just kind of almost think about straightening out the top leg a little bit more, it might get you from pushing it in. We don't want to use this to compensate, right? Okay, so hand is on the waist. I like to flex the bottom foot. That really helps me get into this position a little bit better. But I'm going to tilt, I'm going to stack, and I'm going to think about I'm energizing my top knee forward. So I open up that hip a bit. I'm going to flex that bottom foot. I'm going to bring the shin a little closer toward the roller. Breath on in. On the exhalation, I'm going to reach and I'm going to lift. So top hip is reaching as the bottom leg is reaching. I have nothing in my waist. I love that, right? This is your starting position. Here we go. Breath on in. As you exhale, you're going to reach and you're going to lift. You're going to pause. I do not do as well on this side. Oh my goodness. And back to parallel and wait. We got 3 more for reintegration. Breath on in as we exhale. We're going to reach it. We're going to lift it. We're going to pause it, making sure that top leg is light. And then we come back to parallel and we wait. 2 more. Breath on in. Exhale as you reach and you lift. Making sure it's nothing is coming from here. I'm back to parallel. Last one. Inhale, exhale. Reaching and lifting and holding. And back to parallel. Now we're going to go for the pattern. Here we go. You're going to reach it. You're going to lift it. We're going to go all the way down. We're going to tap it. Reach and lift it for 2. And up. 3. And then we're going to bring it on up. Last one. And hold it. And now we want to reach a little higher. Can we pulse it for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1? Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. And let it go. Beautiful. Come on your back. Let's get that roller on the back of the thigh. Let's go into that. Getting a little back of thigh passive shear here. Oh, remember, you could do one leg at a time. If you put one foot down, that might actually help you get a little bit more of that shear going on the back of the thigh. Gives it a little bit more control. And then switch sides. Probably feels really good to do after doing that inner thigh lift, because you could just really feel that tissue really got pulled in. So it feels nice to do this, like a nice little massage after doing some work, right? And then I like to do both. And wait. And then move that on down to about the middle of the thigh. We're going to do the same thing, just moving it down a little bit more. And this is a spot, a cellulite spot, whatever. It feels good. So what I notice when I'm doing this is I have a lot more ropey band stuff going on my right than I do on my left. Again, it's just stuff to notice if you've got some tissue that's especially taut going on, like what is it that's causing that? And wait. And then let's hit one more spot just above the knee space and try it again. Nice. Passive shear going on here. Again, if you want to do one leg at a time. I kind of do a combo of the two. And wait. Brilliant. Let's move this roller down. We're going to, I'm going to do cross the left ankle over the right. I've got the roller at the meaty part of my right calf, and I'm going to start my glide. Now, remember, you have some options here. You can stay just as you are. You could slide both hands underneath your sacrum, which is going to give you a different kind of leverage on top of the roller, which might feel good to you. You could keep your left hand underneath your butt cheek and remove the right hand, which is going to flop you out to the outside portion of that right leg. Or you could swap it out where the right hand goes underneath the right butt cheek, let go of the left, and that'll get you on the inner part of that calf muscle. Whichever you choose, it's all good for you. So find a spot to shear, get smaller and smaller here. We'll start with the circles if you want to do that indirect shear, or pointing and flexing the foot. Rocking the leg left to right, which does not feel good for me. So I'm going to just pin and do some scratching from left to right to get my cross friction in. And I'm going to wait. And then I'm going to switch sides, do it on the opposite side, same thing. Oh, and for some reason, this side is more gnarly than the other. So it might be that you can't really tolerate the weight of the other foot, and that's fine. You could always just bend it and put that foot behind the roller and continue with your single-legged glide here, whatever works for you. But find that spot where you need to shear. I don't really have a lot of options because I don't have a lot of space that doesn't have a barrier. Maybe your entire calf is a barrier. So I'm going to start my shear here. I'm going to do all three. Actually, I'm just going to do the first and the last. The rocking left to right doesn't work for me. And wait. Let's get that on down farther on the, just above the ankle space. I'm going to have both legs on this for this last bit. I'm going to kind of have them all, both go over to the right and back to center. I'm going to glide them both over to the left and back to center. And then I kind of do this little swirly thing where I go out to center to in and out, like a little, I don't know, lee, 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 lee. You do it the other way, whatever works. And then figure out where you need to shear. And it might be a combo for you, like where you're more on the inside of one and the outside of the other. It doesn't matter. Smaller and smaller, and go ahead and do the shear that works for you. Circles, pointing and flexing, cross friction, or rocking back and forth, and waiting. Okay, so now for everyone's favorite, we're going to do a rolling bridge. Y'all ready for this? Okay, so to set you up for success, you are going to, so if you've never done this one before and you want to watch it through, I'll just do a quick demo. The basic is that having your arms out to the side, the arms and the hands on the floor is going to be important in this one. It's going to actually help you in the move. You'll notice that the way my heels are kind of dropped down on my side of the roller. And you're going to be going up into a series of bridges where we're first going to start, and you'll see how my feet kind of go on top of the roller. I lose my hip crease and then back down. We'll do that for a while, and then we'll do that for 4 for a while. We'll do that for 4, and then to get into the rolling bridge, you're actually going to straighten the legs out, and then the pull back is going to be a big part of it. And then come on down. And we'll break that down into 4 and then go into for the full pattern. So if this one is tough for you, don't worry about it. Just do the beginning pattern, see what you could do on the rest. And if not, just chill out. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. We're going to start. Take a breath on in. On the exhalation, you're going to start to push into the roller with your feet to lift the hips on up into a bridge. So I want you to think knee knockers, using your arms to help you a little bit here. You're going to come on all the way up. And once you're up at the top, I do want you to think feet are on top of the roller, but I want you to relax those butt cheeks. It's just more of an idea than a thing, right? And then come on back down. We're going to do that 3 more times. Breath on in. Exhale, find your core. Then you leverage on up. Think about knees reaching over the toes, butt cheeks get soft, even almost hamstrings, but it's hard to do because we're really hamstring involved here. Okay, 2 more. Breath on in. This is pretty much just the prep, right? We're going to push on up and see if we can lose that hip crease and try not to overly squeeze those butt cheeks and try not to bring those shoulders up to your ears and come on down and let it go. Last one, breath on in, exhale as you come on up and push yourself up into a bridge. Yeah, losing that hip crease. Awesome. Come on down. Okay, now we're going to try a breakdown of the bridge. Here we go. Breath on in. Exhale as you come on up into a bridge. You're going to pause at the top, making sure you're not overly squeezing those butt cheeks. Really use your arms here as you flex those feet. You're going to straighten those knees, but keep that pelvis on up. Use your arms here. Breath on in, exhale as you pull that roller back towards your butt cheeks, and you're going to come on down. Woo! Let's try it again 3 more times. Here we go. Pushing on up into a bridge. Think about flexing those feet as you straighten those knees on out, but the pelvis stays up. Use those arms. Use those arms. You're pushing in, right? And we're going to pull it on back. And we're going to bring it down. We got 2 more here. It's tying it all in, arms to legs. Here we go. On up. Relaxing those butt cheeks, but flexing those feet as we straighten on out. And you're going to pull it on back. And you're going to come down. Last one. Here we go. You guys got this one. We're going to push on up. Relax those butt cheeks. You're going to straighten those legs on out. Keep the pelvis on up. Use the arms into the floor. Push, push, pushing, right? It's like tricep, that whole line of the arms all the way down to the legs and down. Those who want to continue with the pattern can. Come on up. You can watch the rest of it if you're still not sure. Here we go. We're going to go out. And we're going to come back, keep the pelvis on up. We're going to go out. We're going to pull it on back for 2. We're going to go out. We'll pull it on back for 3. And we're going to go out. And we're going to pull it on back for 4. Add-on challenge. Straighten those legs on out. For those who want to do this with me, here we go. Legs are straight. We're going to tap the pelvis down and up for 1. Down and up for 2. Down and up for 3. Last one. Down and up for 4. Hold it. Pull it on in. And bring it down. Let's get that roller. Actually, before we do that, let's do a quick little rest reassess. Let's see what that all did. It just felt like a big ass workout is what it felt like, right? Holy crap. Okay, so we've got arms and legs extended here. My backs of thighs feel like they're down, but now I feel hyperextended in my knees. But that's me right now. I'm not sure what that means. It's strange. My shoulder girdle feels like it's coming back online. If I turn my head from left to right, I think I got a little bit more freedom in my neck. I'm not sure what to feel right now because my legs feel like jello. So let's start to cool it down, shall we? Okay, let's get that roller underneath our pelvis. Do a couple of modified tuck and tilts here just to make sure you're right. And then let's bring those knees into the chest. Sending those knees away. And let's tick-tock our knees from left to right. I'm going to start my SI joint shear on my left side. So remember when we do this one, you want to keep those feet slack to the butt cheeks. You have that slight angle, the knees angling over your head. So you have this nice little angle. You send those knees away from you too far. And your low back is going to start to take a strain and the ribs are going to come up. So I've got both knees going, but now let's just let the one knee go on that side, starting with small little circles. If you want to, you can open that circle up a little bit more. And then you can march those knees forward and back. And wait. And going over the other side, do the same thing. We got the both going. Just noticing if your ribs want to move around a lot as you do this. And then just doing that one leg. And again, I like to open it up big to see how my joint is feeling. This joint's feeling a little funky lately with the labral issues, but that's why we're here. That's why we do this. Marching the knees and waiting. Bring the legs back to center, hands on the front of the thighs. We're going to straighten those elbows out. Doesn't matter to me where your fingers end up. Just as long as those palms are in front of the legs and the elbows are straight, shoulders relaxed, breath on in. Exhale as you gently press the thighs and the hands. The pelvis is in a tilt, and just notice that nice little contraction in the abdomen. We're going to ease off, do that again, making sure we're not putting any too much effort into this one. Breath on in as you exhale, gently press the thighs into the hands and go into a tuck of the pelvis. For our tuck and tilt challenge, sip of air on in as you keep the pressure of the thighs into the hands and you untuck your pelvis. Let's do that again. Exhaling, tucking the pelvis. Sip of air in as you untuck the pelvis, keeping the pressure of the thighs in the hands. Last time, breath on in as you tuck. And then you untuck, land the pelvis heavy back on top of the roller. Take your right hand, place on top of the left. Let's do a core challenge. Breath on in, exhale. As you press the left thigh into the hand, you're going to start to send the right foot down toward the floor. Think you're opening up the hip. You're going to let that right foot hover just above the floor. Don't let the ribs come with you. Breath on in, exhale as you drag that leg on back up. Let's switch sides. Right thigh, right hand. Breath on in, exhale as you gently press the right thigh into the hands. You start to send the left foot down toward the floor. Think about opening up that hip. The left foot's going to hover above the floor. Take a sip of air on in as you drag it on back up. One more time each side. Left thigh, left hand. Breath on in, exhale, gently press the thighs. You send that right foot down toward the floor. You're going to let that foot hover. Take a breath on in, exhale as you drag it on back up. And one more time, right thigh, right hand. Breath on in, exhale, press that thigh into the hand as you start to send the left foot down toward the floor. Think about opening up that hip. You're going to allow that left foot to hover. Feel a nice tremble in the abdomen. Exhale as you drag it on back up. Both thighs on the hands. Let's do a little decompression here. Breath on in as we exhale. Press the thighs into the hands. You're going to sink the ribs, pelvis heavy on top of the roller. Find that traction in the lumbar spine. Ease back your intention. 2 more breaths. Making sure those heels are slack to the butt cheeks. Last time. Brilliant. Place the left foot down onto the floor. Interlace your fingers around your right shin. Square off your pelvis by thinking right butt cheek reaching toward left heel. Left knee is in toward the midline. Exhale as you tuck your pelvis. You're going to draw that right knee in towards you. Think about the left knee reaching over the left toes without hiking your hip. Find that line of pull on the front of the thigh. Ease back your intention. One more breath. And right from here, I want you to release your hands. You're going to flex that right foot, relax the pelvis heavy back on top of the roller, kick that right foot low and long. We're going to bring it on up for hip to heel press. So you want to think the right heel is reaching toward the ceiling. I want you to start to sink your pelvis into the roller, so much so that the left foot could come off the floor, but of course it doesn't. You're still reaching that heel up toward the ceiling. Pelvis, both sides, heavy. But now I want you to think you're going to reach your pubic bone away just to get a little more tension in that back line. External rotation for hip to heel. Rotate back to neutral. One more time. External rotation, keeping that foot nice and flexed. Exhale, hip to heel cross. Bring that right heel in toward the midline. Bring the left knee in as well. Breath on in, exhale, sink the pelvis, sink the pelvis, sink the pelvis, reach a heel, reach a heel. Unwind that, bring it on down. Let's switch sides. So
Left knee comes on in, interlace your fingers. You want to think about squaring off that pelvis. Make sure the right knee's in towards your midline. Exhale, you're going to tuck that pelvis, draw the knee in to accentuate the tuck, right knee reaching over right toes. Don't let that hip hike. Keep thinking, energizing that left butt cheek toward the right heel. Ease back your intention. One more breath. Beautiful. Release your hands. You're going to flex that left foot. Let the pelvis land heavy back on top of the roller. You're going to kick that left leg low and long. Nice flexed foot. And then you're going to start to bring that heel up toward the ceiling, keeping the knee straight until it wants to bend or the foot wants to go past the ceiling. I'm not going very high up on this side. And again, now's the time you want to start to ease pressure the pelvis. Let gravity sink the pelvis into the roller so that the right foot is completely light. Yeah. And you're reaching. And now I want you to think the pubic bone is reaching away from you. Oh, yes. And then external rotation for hip to heel. Rotate back to center. One more time. Rotate. And now we're going to bring that heel across the midline as the right knee comes in toward the midline. Breath on in. Exhale, sink the pelvis. Sink, 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 sink. Reach that heel. And then bring it back to center and let it go. One more thing we can do before we get out of this one, we're going to do a drawbridge. So let's interlace around the left shin. We're going to bring the right foot up toward the ceiling. Make sure you stay in that nice super tuck as like a drawbridge. That right foot goes down toward the floor. But it's going to suspend. So you're going to lose that hip crease, but you have a nice tuck in that pelvis. It's going to allow that arm to, or that leg to hang. You're going to, like you're doing the backstroke with the right arm, you're going to bring it until the elbow gets just above the eyebrow. You're going to lift and turn your head over to the left. Breath on in. On the exhalation, I want you to reach toes and fingers away. It's going to make you arc. That's okay. Now we're going to clean it up. Breath on in, exhales. You tuck the pelvis, draw that shoulder blade down the back, sink the ribs. 2 more breaths. Finding your tuck, sinking the ribs, finding the reach. 1 more. And switch. And if you're anything like me, that may have given you a nice big crampy cramp in the right arch. Yay. Okay. Left foot on up. Give a slight internal rotation if you need to, like a drawbridge. That left leg goes down. Find your suspension. Ideally, you lose that hip crease, but you've got a nice tuck here, so that leg should bounce. And then like you're doing the backstroke, but when the elbow, you see the elbow space get to about your eyebrow, you're going to lift your head, turn it to the right. 1, 2, 3, exhale and reach. You want to reach, reach, reach till it seems ridiculous. Inhale. Exhale, you're going to tuck the pelvis, sink the ribs, draw the shoulder blade down your back. 2 more breaths. Tucking and sinking while also energizing. 1 more. Beautiful. Get out of it. Get back in your rest. Reassess. Arms and legs extended, palms faced up. That was a big one. So some of you might find from doing that last sequence that your back thighs went right down toward the floor. Maybe. Turn your head from left to right. Notice if that helped to get some tension out of the neck or if you feel like it went right back in. I like to notice my butt cheeks feel, I actually feel my gluteal fold, which is kind of nice. I'm even on my butt cheeks. I'm on the outer third portion of my calves and my heels evenly. And I feel much more on the outer part of my knuckles, like my shoulder girdle feels more spread out. I feel pretty good. I could end it here, but I want us to we got some time. I want to do a neck release. So I'm going to come on to my right side and take some water in first because I'm really thirsty. So take in some water. And as this class continues and my hair dries, I'm starting to look like a lion. Okay, so I'm going to get on my right side. Don't forget to thread that needle. Rollers behind the ear on the base of the skull. And let's just chill out and we'll do some circles here. So you can think about circles or just pinning and dragging the flesh. And let's wait. Let's do the face treatment while we're here. Why not? Go ahead and turn your face to the roller. Get on that jaw joint underneath the cheekbone. And if you want to bring the edge of the roller, bring your face to the edge of the roller, you could do that. You might want to take off your earrings. So same thing. I like to just relax my jaw in here and just drag the flesh. But you could also do an indirect shear where you allow the face to rest and you just say, yeah. Yeah. And wait. And then decompress the weight of your head as you move the roller up to your temple. And think about just nodding your nose down a little bit here. And same thing, start with the circles. And maybe drag that flash left to right. And wait. Let's go back where we came from. You're going to pull that roller back to the jaw. Same thing. You pick which shear you want to do. And wait. And then tip that nose on up to get that roller just behind the ear on the bridge of the nose, Jesus. Base of the skull. So my shoulder keeps the roller away from my neck. I don't know about you, but by having my arm up like this, it keeps my roller where I need it to be. So I don't have to constantly worry about it. And wait. And then let's get in that half back, just lifting that top knee up to get a little bit more on the base of the skull. Same thing. Dragging. And waiting. And then go all the way over to the other side like you're turning over in bed. Just as graceful as I do it. Can't say my husband does. And then same thing, we're going to get that right behind the ear. And the base of this on the skull here. And wait. And go ahead and turn your face toward the roller so your jaw joint ends up there. And start doing your circles or dragging the flesh. Or doing your indirect shear. Or trying to talk with a roller on your face. That's always fun to do. I wonder if this is how you could learn to be a ventriloquist. Sure you guys miss my stupid dad humor. And wait. It's not my fault I'm married to a guy who's got like the worst dad jokes ever. Push that on up. Place the head back down, nodding the nose down a little bit, and then start with your circles. Or drag the flesh. This one is such a great one to do for any like chronic headache issues, sinus issues. This is just a great one. I don't know why I don't do this enough. My sinuses have been driving me nuts. And wait. And then pull it back down, especially now everyone worries about spring allergies, but for me, it's when the leaves start falling and decomposing. That just absolutely, my nose completely, I go into a total histamine response. Yeah. And wait. And then tip that nose on up to get the roller behind the ear. Let's get in our shear here behind the ear again. And dragging. And waiting. Let's do our half back. Top knee up with that foot down. Just leverages you more on the back of the skull, but not totally. And wait. And then let's come all the way onto our back. On the base of the skull here, making sure we don't end up in our neck. And listen, if you need to put a hand here on the roller to keep it where it needs to be, I'm okay with that. Do what you gotta do, boo. I have a very strange shaped head, so I need it, even after all of my years of melting. I like to do my Stevie Wonders here. I just called to say I love you. I actually taught this to one of the clients over at the country club, and I told him Stevie Wonderhead, and he was like, that's the most descriptive. I was like, hey man, if it works for you, and wait. All right, so let's decompress it. I just have to go up just the tiniest. I actually don't need to go up at all. Again, I have a very strange shaped head. I can lift my face up toward the ceiling. Shoulders are relaxed, but I'm not hyperextended in the neck. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure into the roller. Take a focused breath on in. On the exhalation, I want you to think the crown of your head is reaching behind you just to nod your nose down. Take a breath into the back of that neck. Exhale and float the face on back up, exposing the front of the throat. Take a breath on in here. Exhale, reach the crown, not the face. Breath on in. Exhale, float the face. Breath on in. Last time, here we go. We're going to reach the crown, relax the shoulders, breathe into the back of the neck. And exhale to float the face, expose the throat, breathe into those vocal cords. And on the exhalation, decompress your head, remove the roller, put it down onto the floor, and just marvel at the beautiful neck curve you have. And then extend the arms and the legs. And let's do our neck turn and see if that helped bring any. I mean, I feel like I have a whole new neck. I feel like I got like 2 more vertebrae added on. And then let's just do our final assessment here. Just noticing the changes that you feel. I am a completely different body than I was when I first laid down here an hour and a half ago. I want you to notice your shoulder girdle. If now you feel like you're on the backs of the knuckles, if your arms are even, if the shoulders feel more connected to the earth, but the shoulder blades feel more spread out, more relaxed. You feel like you're more on your ribs. Again, if you're not sure, punch the ceiling. I mean, again, it feels like a completely different shoulder girdle than the one I had before. Go down the back and notice if you now feel like you have a nice lumbar curve. I know I do. Nice little pop of the curve. Now I'm on those butt cheeks. Notice if you have that, if you're now evenly weighted. If the backs of the thighs are down on the floor, maybe you get a sense of your gluteal fold now. Maybe you no longer have a hyperextension in the knees or on the outer third portion of the calves and the heels. Draw that imaginary line down your center. Again, notice if you're more and if your autopilot is back on line a little bit more here. And then go ahead and breathe into your body. Take that nice deep breath in, noticing how you breathe, how your diaphragm is moving relative to the ribs. Hopefully there's more glide in there and you're able to expand those ribs a little bit more. Give yourself thanks for showing up today, and then go ahead and bend your knees, roll to your side. Come on up to sitting. Unmute, get some water. Admire your hair in the mirror, and let's talk. How'd that go for you guys? All right, somebody bailed. Who bailed? Tony bailed. Where'd she go? Did she leave a message? No. How'd that go?
Woo!
It was a big one, right?
I'm always amazed at how the facial or just face the skull shear, neck decompress really like brings the low back curve into play back for me every time.
Isn't that
I do like
crazy?
that tip of your arm being a little bit higher, a little bit angled up to hold the roller, and that's a great. I
Yeah,
like it.
good stuff. How'd that go for you, Candy? I always worry
Good.
about that SI joint of yours.
Yeah, no, everything was good. I knew better than to end on the neck stuff. I did it anyway, but I could never end on upper body because it tilts my pelvis. But I just did my little magic SI move, and I'm pretty solid. But no, those were very, very good reminders of things I need to be doing.
So Patricia, I did one of your favorites. I did Prone Superman. How'd that go for you? Not your favorite? Come on, you make good
No,
jokes
that
all the
one's
time.
good. That one's good for me. And also I like that one because it really points out that sling, that
The
oblique
serape,
sling
yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that one is always good for that because it makes you realize, yeah, one side's maybe a little, off. But yeah, that one was fine. It's the rolling bridge for me.
Oh yeah.
I always modify that one. But interesting, after that, I always have a good rebalance, or not rebalance, reassessment. My
Yeah.
body lengthens out nicely after that. So
All right. All right. Well, we did a lot. And the one thing we didn't do that I had on here that I wasn't sure we were going to do anyway was bicycle, but maybe we could do that next week. So if you do bicycle, you do have to have a mat, it just to fold over so that you can hold it in place. I mean, I've been doing that move forever and I still can't keep my roller in one place. It always moves and makes me mad. Candy, had you done rolling bridge before?
No, that was my first time. I could not go through I couldn't get through all of it, but also I just started learning doing Pilates on the reformer. So my
Mm.
legs are already like kicking my butt right now. So I made it through most of it, but I could not do the repat, like
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
do the whole move.
It's a lot. It's a lot, that one. I personally love it. I do well with that one. What is it that's Carrie and I like got in an argument with Sue about how we think rolling bridge is easier than hover and lunge. She seems to think
Mm.
that rolling bridge is harder than hover and lunge. We're like, ha!
I
No.
don't think so. If I hadn't done a bunch of bridges the other day, I don't think it would have been as bad.
Mm. Yeah,
But
yeah. All right. Well, that's what I have for you this week. Any special requests for next week? I mean,
if
it's always
there's
good to do a sternal release, right? I hope that felt good.
Mhm.
yeah, that was good. That was good. Always
Good.
good.
Always good to do. Yeah. Sorry, Candy. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, if there's something that which move do you recommend for like its equivalent of tennis elbow type of thing that I've been having for several weeks?
Okay. I'll work on that one.
What is Amanda, when the forearms are on the roller and we're doing that external rotation with the
Oh.
band? What's that one called? Windshield wipers?
Quadruped arm fans.
Mhm.
That I
Yeah.
request that one.
That's
Okay.
good. Assisted Superman.
Okay. I think that one's harder than prone, but yeah.
Yes.
Superman.
You can always throw in side hip hero because that's always good.
Yeah, I think I want to
Ooh,
start with
yeah.
some standing moves. So, okay, quadruped arm fans, my least favorite of all. I'll do that for you. Sure, no problem. Side hip hero. So if we do side hip hero, then I'll have us do standing arm. No, if we're gonna do quadruped arm fans, then I'll just do shoulder floats. How's that?
Mhm.
Yeah? Okay. All right. And then I'll add in some really fun core stuff. All right, cool. I hope you enjoyed today.
Thank you.
How about your
We
day?
take one
Bing?
more crossbow.
Oh,
Crossbow.
crossbow.
Yeah, we
Crossbow.
do love that. That'll be it's like we're going from the most difficult back down. Crossbow is, well, so that means we have to do knee knockers.
Mhm.
Boy, and crossbow.
Phew.
Usually I don't tell y'all what's coming up, but I did ask for special requests. Okay, so just remember next week, no class. Because yours truly is going to Asheville with her husband for our anniversary.
Oh, yay!
6
Love it.
whole years.
Love Asheville.
I know.
How long? How long have you been married?
So it'll be 6 years.
6 years.
I know, it feels like 60. you know,
Congratulations.
in a good way. It feels like 60 in a good way. Well, when you go through, I think if he hadn't gotten that diagnosis, it would feel like 6 years. But, this year has felt like 80 years, to be quite honest. It's like I can't, like I think back, I'm like, I can't believe he had surgery not even a year ago. You know what I mean? It's like it feels so long ago. It's crazy.
Well, have a
Anyway,
great time.
thanks. We're excited. We're excited. It's just a quick trip, but my cousin lives there, so we're looking forward to it. But anyway, go enjoy your Saturday, and lovely to see you all, Candy. I'm so happy you joined in at the last
Yes, thank you.
Yay. All right, everybody. Love you guys. I'll see you next
Yes.
time. Bye.
Bye.